Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, we finally got some rain last night. Had some storms blow through, a lot of wind, a lot of lightning and thunder, and some rain. Not an excessive amount. We could certainly still use some more. Our deficit is so much around here. We could probably get 3 or 4 inches and still be in the negative. But not going to complain. Might see a little less temperature today. I mean, we've been in the 90s for mid-September. That's kind of unusual here in this part of the country. We're not South Texas, so needs to cool down just a little bit to be back in the normals. But hey, we finally got a little rain, and there's more in the forecast this weekend and then first of next week. And today, we're getting ready to start the weekend by this evening. So that's a good thing for a lot of us. A little bit of a respite for a busy work week, and it has been busy. I have just been swamped this week with stuff, and I've talked to a couple of people, and they've told me the same thing, that this has been one of the busiest weeks they've had in a while. So I don't know what's going on, if it's just a coincidence or I don't know. It's busyness, lots of busyness. Not going to get too deep into the news today. Just not. Mostly just some personal thoughts. So some of you like that, some of you don't. Does look like that the president is kind of losing interest in backing away from the whole Russia-Ukraine deal, at least for now. I mean, that's probably going to change because things change often around here. But he says he's very disappointed in Putin. He thought he could, because of their relationship, that he could quickly fix this. And it's not. And he says it's basically, that whole war doesn't affect us at all. There's a big ocean between us, he says. And so it's not something that he cares too much about. This all comes after meeting over in the United Kingdom with the King and with the Prime Minister, and the British Prime Minister came out and said that all of their intelligence that they have shows that Vladimir Putin is not in anywhere close to the ballpark of being interested in any kind of peace. So things are, a little different, but I think still escalating over there. It's like the narrative is, they're trying to really nail down the narrative that this is going to become a bigger war than just Russia and Ukraine. So, who knows how that's going to take place, but it's moving along as expected, I guess. With the things that's happened recently here in the U.S., and then the change of tone. I don't know how else to explain it other than that, but like the tone has changed here in the U.S. You've got a group of people in the United States that's become more vocal of their hatred and vitriol of traditional conservative biblical values. You've got a group here in the United States that's fed up with being attacked and the violence and the hatred, and so they're on the verge of ready to take physical action for that disgust. And then you've got leadership pretty much across the board, left, right, center, all of it. That's just filled with such corruption and lies, and to the point that you can't even tell what's real anymore. Even, and I know some of you are going to hate this, but even the president himself, so much of the stuff that he said here lately in the last few weeks is it's just not true. You can fact check this stuff. Some of it you don't even have to fact check if you just know math. If you have above a 4th or 5th grade level of math, you can figure out that some of the stuff is just not true. We're gonna lower drug prices, not 50%, not 100%, but 1,000%. So they're gonna start paying us to buy medicines. I don't know. It's insanity, but it's supposed to be. It's meant to be. That's the plan. The plan is insanity. The plan is fear. The plan is confusion and chaos. And I've said that for years. I've been telling you that over and over again. It's biblical. It's right out of Scripture. Maybe there's not a verse in Scripture that says what I just said, that the plan is chaos and confusion and lies and deceit and terror and fear. But it doesn't take, a genius to read the Bible and figure out that that is the plan. The plan is to disrupt and to terrify and to just spread chaos and confusion. And Scripture tells us that God is not the author of chaos and confusion. That's not what he does. So if he's not doing it, well, then doesn't take too much to figure out who is doing it. And so we're living in these precarious times, and we're watching the tone change pretty quickly. I mean, and it's almost amazing, especially if you kind of step back and almost try to take an outside view of it. We've gone through, COVID, and then 4 years of chaotic, just insanity with Joe Biden, and listening to Kamala Harris crackle and the left and the grotesque, encouragement of all the things that happened in those 4 years, where we had men dressed as women dancing around in the White House and telling children that it's okay to do those kinds of things, and just insanity, right? It was insane. And so then we switch gears, and many people think we've done a 180. And yes, there's a lot of things. There's no longer men dressed as women dancing in the White House, so that's a good thing, right? And there's other things that you could say, well, that's good too. Border seems to be kind of shut down, and they're rounding up people and kicking them out. Those are good things. But then there's a lot of other stuff, folks. A lot of other stuff, and it's scary. Talking about restrictions on speech, restrictions on firearm ownership, the economy going into the tank, just a lot of stuff. And without making an exceedingly long video, I wanted to kind of bring out a couple of points. Number one is your level of awareness of what's going on in your vicinity needs to be fairly heightened right now. You don't need to be living in this panic-filled, fingernails dug into the, sofa chairs, armchairs or whatever. But you need to have a heightened sense of awareness more than normal right now, because just the times that we live in. I mean, the chance for something anywhere in the country to just kind of pop off, or violence or whatever, I think is pretty high right now. I think that the just anger towards anything that resembles biblical Christianity, conservative, traditional, is very high. And so you may say, yeah, but I don't consider myself a MAGA. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to these people. The church that you go to, the places that you hang out, your home, your circle of friends, all of that needs to be very aware of what's happening, what's going on, and then just the whole mood of the nation, and that there's a heightened threat. And so you need to be aware of that. You need to be kind of renewing your commitment to preparedness. And what I mean by that is, I know that most of you watching are not newbies. You sit there and say, yeah, I've got a food supply, I got medical, I did this, I got that, I do this, I do that. That's awesome. Good on you. But let's revisit everything. Let's take stock in what we have, what you need to be stocking up on, what needs to be changed out, plans adjusted, all that. Now is the time to do that. Don't just have this blind confidence because 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, you went all in on preparedness and you stocked up on things and you're good. You need to go over some stuff. You need to revisit it, look at it. What are things that are some loopholes and holes in your kinks in your armor and stuff? Because right now you need to be doing that. Probably the biggest thing that we need to be doing is just emboldening our faith, our belief. Like get it rock solid strong right now. We need to pour ourselves into Scripture, into building a closer connection with God the Father, His Son Yeshua, because this stuff that's going on, it's pure evil. There is an evilness there that it's hard to even explain. It's very dark, and the things that's being said of doing bad things to believers, it's out there. So there's a lot of it out there, and we need to be aware of that. And it's not just the physical violence that we have to worry about. It's the spiritual warfare that is happening. I saw several, and some of you may care about this, and some of you may think it's a joke, but I saw several posts just after the Charlie Kirk assassination where people were saying, well, finally our spell worked. Just the other night, all of our witches got together and we did this incantation to take, for something to be done about him because he was such a threat, and it finally worked. Some of you may believe that kind of stuff, some of you may not, but I'm telling you, satanic, spiritual evilness, it's there, and they're very emboldened about what they're saying and about what they're doing. And so spiritual warfare is going to get serious. We need to get serious. We We cannot just continue to be so lackadaisical, we live in this free nation and we have Bibles everywhere and I can go to church anytime I want. And, we have this freedom of religion. And yes, I'm a Bible believer. I pray and I read my Bible, No. You need to look at your faith in the same way that people that live in places that they can't freely express their faith, places in China, in Africa, and in places where they are persecuted and that they're murdered and that they're butchered just because they own a Bible. That's the kind of faith that we need to have. Americans have had it so easy. And I worry that many Americans that claim this faith in Yeshua and that they hold tightly to their Bibles, it's because it's easy. When it comes hard, when it's, you own a Bible, well, then we're going to hang you. You're teaching your children about Jesus, we're going to butcher them all. When it comes down to that, how much faith are people going to have? And there is a war brewing in Western culture against Christianity, against Bible believing, against all of that. That is scriptural too. Go pick up and look at Revelation 12:18. And the dragon is coming after the children. And we have to be ready for this, folks, stuff. It's getting bad, but it's not gotten to the point that it's obvious. But it's getting there. It's getting there. And we need to be ready for that. And yes, prepping is part of it because, if it starts to get really bad, having a 2-year food supply so you don't have to go out that much, being self-sufficient so that you don't have to go out to where the threats are worse is a good thing. We need to wake up. The tone in this country has changed in many ways. And we can sit there and cheer, rah, rah, this is a great thing that's happened here or there. But there's many things that's going on that's really bad. That's really dangerous. And we need to wake up to that. And we need to prepare. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order. And prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.